Much of what people do today disguises a desperate search for meaning, the result of the crisis of belief that has become a major problem of the Western world. On the one hand, the elites and their high culture suffer a loss of confidence, and aimless consumerism is widespread. On the other, powerful new myths arise, as with sporting heroes. Most words have experienced several changes in the meaning throughout their history so that it is impossible to say which stage in their meaning is the true meaning. And if we attempt to go back to the beginning, we find it is impossible, for the origins of many words are difficult to trace back. Today's technological market is dominated by two contrasting business models, the generative and the non-generative. The generative models, the PCs, Windows, and Macs of this world, allow third parties to build upon and share through them. The non-generative model is more restricted. Appliances might work well, but the only entity that can change the way they operate is the vendor. Parents can communicate their personal feelings about undesirable programs both by discouraging their children from watching them and by writing to their local television station or to the program sponsors. The public does have a voice. Clearly, not all programs need to please everybody. We do have a choice of programs, and we also have a choice, for ourselves and at least for our younger children, of watching or not watching. There is an off button on every set. The human-animal statuses as the only clever tool user who can talk about our feelings are crumbling. Prairie dogs can make up words for new animals. Crows are born with the ability to make tools. Elephants recognize and stroke the bones of a lost family member. As biologists delve into these subjects, they're demonstrating that we're not nearly as unique as we once thought. It's a perfect time, scientifically speaking, to reassess our place in the animal kingdom. Trump has threatened to declare China a currency manipulator, but experts say he has a little legal or economic basis to take such a step. He has also threatened to impose a tariff of up to 45% on Chinese imports if Beijing doesn't behave, in a move that could lead to a trade war and damage the economies of both nations. study author Samuel Sheon, a materials scientist, says this smart glass is cheaper than others and uses minimal power, much less, for example, than something like a curling iron. And, since it's flexible and foldable, he says it could even be used for things like camouflage uniforms to switch, for example, from green and brown to white and gray. A recent trend in the entertainment world is to adapt classic works of literature for either TV or movies. One argument is that this is to everyone's benefit, as it introduces people to works they might otherwise never have, but is rarely done successfully. As a historian, if you really want to understand the sensibilities of those who lived in the past, you must be like a novelist and get into the skins of your characters and think and feel as they do. You are asked to imagine what it's like to be a peasant in medieval times, asking the sort of questions a peasant might ask. What the writer is saying is that a historian needs imaginative sympathy with ordinary people in the past. Usually, age is determined by physical characteristics, such as teeth or bones. Great if you have a body. Researchers have tried unsuccessfully to use blood, but in this study, the scientists used immune cells called T cells. T cells recognize invaders through receptors that match molecules on bacteria, viruses, even tumors. The cellular activity that produces these receptors also produces a type of circular DNA molecule as a byproduct. But they did find something that had a much bigger impact on wildlife. Habitat quality. Best predictor of wildlife abundance was not human activity but factors like forest connectivity, nearby housing density, and the amount of adjacent agriculture. The results were published in the Journal of Applied Ecology. The initial thud comes when those dorsal bursts collide, and the reverberation results from the vibrations that linger when the tissues pull apart. But though the younger says the bursts have to be somewhat sticky for the clapping together and snapping apart to produce noise with the correct loudness and pitch, that stickiness comes courtesy of the mucus. There are perhaps three ways of looking at furniture. Some people see it as purely functional and useful, and don't bother themselves with aesthetics. Others see it as essential to civilized living and concern themselves with design and how the furniture will look in a room. In other words, function combined with aesthetics. And yet others see furniture as a form of art. There are three main interpretations of the English Revolution. The longest-lasting interpretation was that the revolution was the almost inevitable outcome of an age-old power struggle between Parliament and the Crown. The second sees it as a class struggle and a lead-up to the French and other revolutions. Finally, the third interpretation sees the other two as too fixed, not allowing for unpredictability, and that the outcome could have gone either way. Many people believe that employers discriminate against older people because youths have more energy and creativity. This is not true. The main reason for hiring younger workers is payroll. In most countries, your salary is dependent on how many years of work experience you have. It is far more cost-efficient to hire postgraduates, fresh out of university, than senior staff with over 20 years of industry knowledge.